What's up, family? Back again. And if it's your first time, welcome to the channel. Morning blog, morning blog. All right, let's wrap a taste on it. I got a topic. All right. I was just coming from McDonald's, getting some whipped coffee. Anyway, rappers. I want to talk about rap and rappers, especially rappers and the art form, or the so-called art form, or what used to be known as the art form, in my opinion, of rap music. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how, in my opinion, rap as an art form, a person who raps calling himself a rapper as being, or who considers himself a rap artist, rap as an art form is dead. There's no secret there. What do you mean, Kevin? Rap as an art form is dead? Yeah, I know rap, people still making money off rap, but that's the point right there. And don't get me wrong, yes, an artist is supposed to get paid for his work. I believe that. But when you're talking about being an artist, or when you're talking about art or artistry, there was a time in rap where, in order for you to be considered a rapper, you had to have a record out, or you had to be signed to a record label contract, or a record contract with a record label. In the beginning, for a lot of years, not just in the beginning. All the way up into like the 2000s. You had to. You had to be signed to a record label, pretty much, to be considered a real rap artist, in my opinion. So what changed with that? What changed with that was, and don't get me wrong, this ain't Soulja Boy's fault. Okay, it's not his fault. It's not Drake's fault. It's just, we follow trends. We follow certain patterns. But I'll say, like when Soulja hit, or around the time Soulja hit, because there was people doing their thing before that, but around the time Soulja hit, people found out that you could actually make music on a laptop, or on a desktop computer. Not everybody knew that was possible. So, in my opinion, what we got from that is a bunch of people, myself included, we got a bunch of people who felt like they had some artistry, or they felt like they were artists, and they wanted to share their art form, their interpretation of the art form known as rap. They wanted to share that with you. And like I said, I was included. I was one. I went and got me a nice desktop and started getting a whole bunch of different equipment and stuff. And yeah, that's how I got in. But I never considered myself a rapper. Okay. When I was making beats for people and stuff, when I learned how to make beats and started doing it, and was even making money actually at it, I still didn't consider myself a producer. When I used to record people in my house and give them these awful mixes, I didn't consider myself an engineer. I didn't. A musical engineer. I didn't. Although I did know how to push a fader or two. I knew that. First of all, I always felt like I was an artist because I could sing, I could rap, I could do both, and I could write. You know what I mean? And I came along. Well, my falling in love with the art form came along when I was a whole lot younger. Any artist who was an artist or an established, that was the thing. You had to be established in order to call yourself an artist. And, I wasn't that. I was writing songs, real R&B songs. I was writing songs in middle school. And they were. I don't want to blow my own horn, but yeah, I think they were decent. But I was in my opinion, looking back, I think I was a young artist trying to learn and get better. But I didn't call myself a singer, a songwriter. When I started rapping, I didn't call myself a rapper. Or none of, I didn't do that. Not because I felt like I felt like I hadn't earned it yet. You know what I mean? That was always the feeling. But then, when the ability to make records on your laptop came about, and the ability to upload them on MySpace and What was that other one? It's another one. Anyway, when that ability came out, you got a whole lot of people, you know. And in the beginning, I feel like those people were real artists, you know, trying to share what they had to offer, you know. But then we got this right here. Yo, man, you could be a rapper, you could make it out the ghetto. You know, if you could just be a rapper. And then next thing you know, we got people rapping about nothing. I'm talking about absolutely nothing. Okay. You know, Boosie, you know, he catch a lot of hell because some of it's self-imposed, self-inflicted. He catches a lot of hell for a lot of the things he does when he's not behind the microphone. But one thing you cannot say is Boosie is not a real artist. Boosie, when you listen to a Boosie song, the verse matched the hook. That's how you make a song, okay? When you make a song, if you make a song about the gas station, if the hook is about the gas station, then the verse need to be about the gas station, okay? And that's where we lost our way. That's where we started getting a whole bunch of people. That's one of them. We started getting a whole bunch of people, 50 Cent included. He didn't make music that was, most of his music wasn't tailored, and most of his hits weren't tailored to a pattern where the hook matched the verse, you know. Baby, all I really need is a little bit. On the hook, he talking about a chick, but in the verse, he gangsters all outdoors, you know, and there was a whole bunch of records like that, you know what I mean, where the hook didn't match the verse, you know. People was just rhyming. You're not, you know, rapping and rhyming is not really the same thing. Rapping is, you know, you on topic. That's just my opinion though, but you know, that's how it came up, you know. You had to be on topic. But back to the point. We got people at one point, you know, it became more about who could use rap to make it out of the ghetto. It became more like basketball and football. Who could dribble the best to get an NBA contract to get out of the ghetto. That's what it became. I'll give you an example. Young Dolph, God bless. Young Dolph was interviewed, and then they were speaking about his cousin Key Glock. His folks brought him over to Dolph and said, "You need to do something with him because he ain't doing nothing but out here getting in trouble." So Dolph turned you into a rapper. Okay, so you're not an artist, okay? When I listen to it, and I try not to, I know his voice. So every time I hear one of his records, I get away from that, you know. I'm not hating on the dude. It's just that you're not a rapper, bro. You're not. You're a person who got an opportunity to use rap to get out of the ghetto, okay? So in my opinion, what we have out here is a lot of rap hustlers, okay? Not rappers, rap hustlers, okay? Everybody want to sell rap. You know what I mean? You know, they're not in it to express themselves. Or like when reality rap first hit, you know, Ice Cube and a bunch of others were quoted as saying, you know, this is what's going on in our environment. You know, we're bringing you, we're not trying to glorify anything. We're telling you what's going on around us. You know what I mean? And that's what it began to be in the beginning. But then it evolved into, I remember KRS had Love's Gonna Get You, where, you know, he spoke in the first verse about how you're poor, and then, you know, next thing you know, you get an opportunity for some guy in the neighborhood put you on, and next thing you know, you got the weapon and you're doing this and you're doing that in the streets or whatnot, but all of that comes to a bad ending. You know what I mean? All of the raps back then were messages. You know what I mean? So although yes, those brothers were in it for a paycheck, they were mostly in it to tell their stories. You know what I mean? And another thing, fame, in my opinion, you know, a lot of people want fame, you know what I mean? And yes, money does come with the fame, you know, but that's not how it started out. You know, yes, it started with, yes, wanting to be famous, but also wanting to share what you had or having the feeling that you had something that was worth sharing with everybody. You know what I mean? Rap hustlers, you know, rappers and rap, you know, there used to be rap artists, but now we got a whole bunch of rap hustlers. That's all this is about, rap hustling. This ain't about nothing positive, man. It's crazy. And I hate to use Key Glock as an example, but he's just an example that sticks out right now. He is not a rapper, man. He was made. That's why he can't rap. You know what I mean? All of these dudes who out here on records talking about lean, talking about sticks, talking about switches. You ain't talking about shit. So you are not an artist. You are a rap hustler. Understand? I think that needs to be, I think we stop making distinctions about certain things. We stop, I think the word coward got lost. Okay, because it's a lot of cowards out here. You know what I mean? And we be in the face, we face cowards all the time, and we never call them cowards no more. What's up with that? It's a lot, man. But that's like and subscribe for me, man. I hope I helped you this morning. It will be another morning vlog from here on in. That's all I'm gonna do on this channel. From now on is vlog talk. I'm gonna also still do some reactions. I am, because I ain't gonna starve everybody out. I still want to do a few reactions too. But I know it's gonna take a minute to get the watch hours back up on this channel. But I also want to build this channel back up with people who actually want to see the content or want to have conversations, want to talk. You know what I mean? Oh, and I left this part out too. Let's go back into that rap hustler thing. Y'all remember, it was a little while. It's been some years now. But a young guy will get killed. And the first thing they say on the news is he was a rapper. We never heard of him. He raps around with his friends in the living room at his mama's house. So she told y'all on the news that he was a rapper. Okay. He don't got a record deal. He don't got nothing to show that he's a rap artist. But it was so much of that. So many people being billed as rappers when they get killed or when they do something stupid and get locked up, especially for violent stuff, okay? Especially people who met their end and became a news article. They always describe, he was a rapper. He was a rap. How's he a rapper? They diminished the title, in my opinion. They took what it meant to be a rap artist. It's done. It's done, you know. And salute, family. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Salute. That's how I'm coming. That's how I'm coming.